Evet. Bakalım. Wargaming gözünden SPG'ler, Arty'ler nasıl oynanır? Ne işe yarar? Ne donanımlar takacağız? Ne yetenekler vereceğiz? Bunu bize anlatmış. Çok da ihtiyacımız varmış gibi. Ama bir bakalım ne anlatmış. İlk kez izleyeceğim, ben de hiç izlemedim. Bakalım nasıl bir video. Let's go.
Hello, stunning tankers. Today we'll be talking about the most specialized vehicle type, artillery.
Topçular.
These are glass cannons, which you'll never see on the front line. Arty usually takes a while to reload, and it fires in that general direction. Also, the shells fly for so long you'd think the gunner had thrown them himself. Basically, there are a few downsides. However, artillery can do something else.
Oğlum bunları yapmıyor işte ya. Yalan söylemeyin.
Fine. Maybe not as cool. It fires at an arc, which can potentially disregard terrain. It makes 3-point shots with HE shells, causing damage to an area. SPGs are the only vehicle with a stun mechanic. Stunning is a temporary penalty to the characteristics of a vehicle, which is affected by a stunned crew. It helps allies on the front line by weakening the opponents. Remember, stun opponents, not your allies. If allies cause damage to a stunned enemy, the SPG user gets points for assisted stun damage, like assisted spotting or tracking damage. Only the first of the 3 shells can stun. That's the standard HE shell, which you're best off using most of the time. This is because stunning significantly weakens all enemies within the burst radius. The second shell type is the non-stun HE shell, which has a lower burst radius but causes greater damage. The third one is the AP or heat shell. These don't have a burst radius, but they're great at piercing armor. AP shells cause awesome damage, but they require precision, which isn't exactly artillery's strong suit. SPGs don't have different roles, but each branch has its own particular qualities. We'll let you study the differences on your own. Now, time to prep. The classic crew perk set for Arty is Brothers in Arms, Concealment, Smooth Ride, Snapshot, Intuition, Clutch Braking, and Sound Detection. But other perks can be useful for SPGs too. Equipment also differs compared to other vehicle types. Gun rammer and
Şimdi asıl artı yeteneklerinden bahsetmedi. Tamam, genel artı yetenekleri olarak kardeşler takımı vereceksin. Tabii ki anlık atış falan vereceksin. Bunlar okey. Yeni gelen yetenekler de var artı için faydalı olan. Mesela Perfect Charge. Bu merminin uçuş hızını hızlandırıyor. Bu gayet güzel bir yetenek aslında baktığında. Quick Aiming vesaire, bunlar artı için güzel yetenekler. Çok ihtiyacımız var artıda yeteneğe ama güzel yetenekler yani. Artı oynamak çok zor, çok.
Equipment also differs compared to other vehicle types. Gun rammer and enhanced gun laying drive are pretty much obligatory. Improved rotation mechanism is usually the third choice, but other options are possible. Ventilation, turbocharger or its experimental version, camouflage net, and binocular telescope. Some think that playing SPGs doesn't require skill. That's only partly true. Artillery players don't need to do many of the things that tankers do, but an effective game requires some specific skills and knowledge. This is what we're going to talk about. Firstly, take a safe position. You are very vulnerable, so hide as far away as possible. Now, press Shift. The artillery reticle has 2 modes, which can be switched by pressing the G key. The first is Top View. This is universal, and you should use it most of the time to survey the battlefield. The second mode shows the trajectory. It helps you gauge where your shell will fly from and to. That makes it comfortable to fling a shell, say, through a window. The minimap is your best friend and aid. Arty players need it more than others. It helps you quickly switch from one flank to the other. Hold Control to bring up the cursor and click the right mouse button on the square you need. This is more effective than moving the reticle over half the map. Pressing Control and clicking the left mouse button on the minimap shows allies where you're going to fire. And with the T key, you can place a mark exactly where your reticle is pointing. This can sometimes be useful to avoid accidentally stunning a teammate. You can even enter sniper mode without the Shift key. Hold Control and, with the right mouse button, click a spot that interests you on the minimap, and you'll immediately see it in the reticle. If you want to look around without breaking your aim, hold the right mouse button. The minimap shows your vision direction and your gun's arc of fire. These two lines are your gun traverse limits. If your reticle leaves them, the vehicle's hull turns and the aim is reset. You can turn the vehicle with the A and D keys to get the enemy's position approximately in the middle of the lines.
Abi
If your
gerçekten mi ya?
SPG has a narrow arc of fire, you can move it carefully with your mouse. To make sure the reticle doesn't leave the arc of fire, press X. This key puts the handbrake on. Point it at your target, now aim fully. You can only fire without aiming when the enemy is about to drive off. Any other time, be patient. Your shells fly for a long time, so learn the art of leading your target. Different shells have different velocities, so each SPG takes some time to get used to. The indicator above the reticle shows how long your shell will take to reach the current point. Don't forget to glance at it sometimes. The shells fly in an arc, so high-up obstructions often stop you hitting enemy tanks. A red indicator shows you that something is obstructing your shot. A gray one tells you that you lack the shell flying distance to hit your mark, so you should move closer or choose a nearer target. A green light means you're clear to fire. The shell has no obvious obstacles. The indicator could be red for one shell type and green for another, since they have different trajectories. The first stunning HE shell has the most curved trajectory, so it's the least obstructed by the terrain but also flies longer. The second has a less curved one, and the third has the straightest. Don't be surprised if another vehicle can fire where you can't reach. Different SPGs have different shell trajectories. The steeper they are, the easier it is to hurl shells over obstructions. But the longer it takes the special delivery to reach its recipient.
Temel fizik.
If you can choose a target, fire at the most dangerous one. Don't forget that unlike in other vehicle types, you can pick a target on either flank. Don't get too hooked on firing AP shells. Use different shell types depending on the situation, but mostly fire the first stunning HE shells. This will help out your team on the front line. Don't forget that HE shells have a shrapnel damage radius. If you don't have any targets for a direct hit, you can still bash an enemy in cover. Try to get the shell as close as possible to your opponent. To hit a tank using the top view reticle, place a central dot a little behind the tank. Because of the shell trajectory, that's how you'll maximize your chances of connecting. If you don't have any easy targets, focus on the counter battery fire, tracking enemy SPGs with tracers. But keep in mind that these only show approximate SPG locations, not exact ones. Taking out enemy artillery is a great way to lift your team's spirits. To avoid being on the receiving end of counter battery fire, change position as soon as you fire. For example, to the next bush. It's best to move to the side and not forward to get out of the enemy Arty's shell trajectory. Look after yourself out there. Artillery is the most vulnerable vehicle type. If an enemy makes a break for you, retreat ASAP, or get ready for close combat. You can make yourself not such an easy prey. By playing artillery, you also learn how to play against it. You'll remember the standard lines of fire and will understand how Arty players behave, which should help you not be on the receiving end of their special deliveries so often. You can find a more detailed video about how HE shells and artillery work via the link in the description. Share this video with friends who fire AP shells at wheeled tanks and then seek promotion to submarine, just to go on a vacation for physics abuse. Good luck on the battlefield.
Aynen öyle. Yani daha fazla yorumlamaya gerek yok. Adamlar yapmış videoyu. Haydi bakayım. Let's go, let's go. Komik ya bu VG. Arty'ye bile video yapmış. Neyse biz de izledik. Selamlar yeni gelenler, selamlar. Abi Wargaming sayesinde mouse'un sol tuşuna nasıl basacağımı öğrendim. Vallahi Wargaming'de olmasa nasıl yapacaktık bu işi? Hoca 1.25'e çekemez misin? Çok boş video değil mi? Tüh keşke çekseydik, doğru söylüyorsun. Neyse izlemiş bulunduk ya, bitirdik işte. Sabrın sonu selamettir gençler. İzledik bitirdik.